Hello, hello. Welcome to the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm Johnny Venerable with my twinning t-shirt brethren, Bo Brack, live at the PHNX headquarters in downtown Phoenix. We have a banner Thursday football program, but become a diehard. First and foremost, go PHNX.com, Bo.
That's right. You can have this very shirt as your yearly t-shirt purchase that you would get for free, actually, from the PHNX merchandise locker, the Southwest Bias t-shirt. Very excited about that. Excited for Chase, Darren, Hanshot first, Marco, Jess, Jacob, everybody in the chat is joining us early in this episode today of PHNX Cardinals. Also early here in the show, we're going to be joined by Pro Football Focus's Max Chadwick joins us here. Let's bring him on the show. We're going to get some insight as far as the draft that is 3 weeks away from tonight. That's right. From 3 weeks from tonight, about an hour and some change, Arizona Cardinals could potentially be on the board, Max. A lot of intrigue as far as that pick goes. You know, there's the scenarios, right? You've got stick and pick, take the best non-quarterback on the board, Marvin Harrison Jr., or you trade down for a haul with a quarterback-hungry team like the Minnesota Vikings. You're so dialed in, tons of speculation. What do you view as the best route for the Redbirds?
Yeah, that's a really good question, guys. Thanks for having me on. I think the thing I would do, I would probably stick at 4 and take Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he is the best non-quarterback in this draft, and also he fits the biggest need for the Cardinals, which is at wide receiver. And it was even probably the biggest need for the Cardinals even before Marquise Brown left in free agency and Rondale Moore was traded away. Now it's even bigger of a need. So adding a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. to, give Kyler Murray a excellent weapon. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is like a once in a decade type of talent. I probably would stick at number 4 instead of moving down to number 11 and number 23 to probably getting the other first round pick. I'd rather probably stick at 4 and get an elite talent in Marvin Harrison Jr. rather than wait for 11 and maybe get a guy like Brian Thomas Jr. or something like that. I don't know if I would do that if I'm the Cardinals.
Yeah, that's the point of contention with this fan base right now, Max, is, sometimes more isn't always more. Sometimes more is just kind of less, right? And we've seen teams in the past trade down and not reap the benefits. Like, what would it take for you, if you're an Arizona Cardinal fan, trading out of the top 10 with all the blue chip prospects that are said to be available? Like, what would you need from the Minnesota Vikings? What's a package that Monty Ossenfort, the Cardinals GM, could potentially not say no to in your mind?
I think so. We've been trying to, here at PFF, we've been trying to project what the trade would be like to get to number 4 or number 5. That's where I think the Vikings are probably going to try to get to. I think for the number 5 pick, we're talking about you trade, obviously, the number 11 pick, the number 23 pick, and then next year's 3rd round pick. If you can get more than that, if you can get, 11, 23, and I don't think they'll give up a first next year. If you can get a first next year, you have to take that. You have to move out of that pick. But I think if you get a lot more than that, like if you get more than 11, 23 and a 3rd round pick in 2025, a lot more than that, then I would be willing to move out of that pick. But if that's the price right now, I probably would just stick where I am from the Cardinals and grab an elite talent at a position where they desperately need elite talent right now.
I mean, we looked at the Trey Lance deal, and that was for the 3rd selection in the 2021 draft. And look, it didn't work out for the 49ers, but it seemed to kind of set a new baseline. And Monty Ossenfort, he's set a precedent for himself in pulling off the deal that ended up with the Texans getting Will Anderson last year out of Alabama, 3rd overall. So it seems like those are kind of the deals you have to work off of. And it's already a polarizing discussion with this fan base, because there are people that say you could take the 3 first round picks and have them because we want Marvin Harrison Jr. in here. Tell me more about what you think about Marvin Harrison Jr. and what separates him from this very talented wide receiver class.
Honestly, it's hard to find any real weaknesses in his game. I think entering the season, the only weakness I had on his scouting report was that he wasn't really great after the catch, and he actually improved in that aspect this past season. I mean, he has really everything you'd want in a receiver, and you could tell that he has the Hall of Fame bloodlines just by the way he plays, man. I mean, he is so technically advanced, and he's also a 6'4", 210-pound receiver who routinely hits over 20 miles per hour on the GPS tracking. And I understand he didn't run a 40. He didn't do any workouts. I know some people were upset by that. I personally don't really care because we've seen what he is already. And we don't really need numbers to back that up. Like, we know who he is. He's got literally everything you'd want, man. Route running is phenomenal at that size. Obviously, great speed, great athleticism, can go up and get it as well. Great hands. And like I said, the technique is so advanced already. So that's why I think he's a once in a decade type of receiver. Like, you might have to go back to the Julio Jones, AJ Green draft, or even back to the Calvin Johnson draft in 2007 to find a better receiver prospect than Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he's that special of a talent. And that's why for the Arizona Cardinals, who haven't had a quote unquote franchise wide receiver since like prime Larry Fitzgerald days, that's why I think you got to stick at 4 and give Kyler Murray a really good weapon to throw to.
Max, let's stick on the offensive side of the football and talk about your offensive tackle number 1 in Joe Alt. Like, Joe Alt, I think in a different scenario is probably the Cardinals' top player. We know that they interviewed him at the Combine, hit it off with head coach Jonathan Gannon. Like, they really like Joe Alt. It just doesn't feel like they're going to be in a position to draft him. Like, what do you feel like is his ceiling to be picked? Like, could he go 5 to the Chargers? Could he go to the Giants 6? And what separates the left tackle from Notre Dame compared to like all these other tackles, which, by the way, you know, our guy Brian Balding or other people projecting as many as 8 offensive tackles to go in the first round. So what separates Joe Alt in your opinion?
Yeah, that's a good question. And obviously it's one of the best tackle classes I can remember, but he, to me, is still clearly the number 1 tackle in this draft, even in a loaded class. I think to answer your first question, I think his ceiling is that number 5 overall pick. I think he can go 5 to the Chargers. And honestly, his floor is probably the number 7 overall pick. So we're talking about a difference of like 3 picks for Joe Alt. It really isn't like this drastic difference where he could be picked. Like, I think it's really 3 picks where he can be selected, and that's either to the Chargers at 5, Giants at 6, or most likely, I think, the Titans at number 7. I think that's where he's going to end up going on draft night. But to answer your second question of what separates him, quite simply, I mean, he is one of the best pass blockers in college football, one of the best run blockers in college football. Like Marvin Harrison Jr., he's got the bloodlines. His dad, John Alt, was a multiple-time Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Chiefs. Joe actually has really only been playing tackle for like 4 years. He played tight end mostly in high school, then kind of moved to tackle his senior year. And then obviously he kind of got thrust into the fire at Notre Dame as a true freshman, 6 games into his true freshman season. He was elite as a true freshman, and he's been the best tackle in the country in each of the last 2 seasons. I think he combines pass blocking and run blocking better than anyone in this class. He's not only one of the best pass protectors in this class, he's one of the best run blockers in this class. That's rare to see both, a guy be elite at both. And then also, if you really want to look at the athleticism stuff, he tested out as a 99th percentile athlete according to Kentley Platt's relative athletic score. 6'9", got unbelievable size as well. I mean, he's got literally everything you'd want in a franchise left tackle prospect, and I think he's the best tackle we've had since Penei Sewell. And even if you want to go further than that, I mean, like, he's one of the better tackle prospects we've had in the last decade plus. I think, and I think he and Marvin Harrison Jr. and Brock Bowers, they're 3 special prospects that we have at those positions right now.
I mean, 2 loaded position groups, right? And they've proven throughout this draft process that they are as legit as people kind of anticipated. Now, you do a great job over at Pro Football Focus PFF. You incorporate the current draft classes with current college players. I love it. The positional breakdowns from interior offensive line to tackle groups to interior defensive linemen. You take this draft class, and then you take guys that haven't declared and won't be eligible for the draft, you know, maybe next year and then the year beyond that. When you look at this quarterback class, because it's smokescreen season, and like we're hearing the Vikings are willing to go any direction, maybe be willing to go to 2025's class for their quarterback of the future, which we think is just ridiculous that they would just, you know, ride forward with Sam Darnold as their QB1. But in your breakdown, you've got a guy in the 2025 class in Carson Beck from Georgia ahead of JJ McCarthy here. Like, what are your thoughts on McCarthy? Do you think he's worth it to move up into the top 5? You know, the Kings Ramsden that it would cost?
I don't think he is, no, but I think it's going to happen. I think the Vikings are going to do it. Or if not, if they don't get something at quarterback other than Sam Darnold, you might see a trade request from Justin Jefferson pretty soon. He might be like, listen, man, I don't know what you want me to do here.
Right.
So I think that, yeah, they're going to be desperate to move up. And I think, you know, them trading for that number 23 overall pick with the Texans, that wasn't to me saying, oh, we want to get an extra first round pick in a really good class. That to me was saying, no, we're loading up because we want to, you know, make another move up to either obviously the Cardinals pick at number 4 or the Chargers pick at number 5, which I think is a little bit more likely. I think that was them trying to move up. So I think they are going to move up to get JJ McCarthy. I personally wouldn't do it. No. I think he's worthy of a mid first round pick to late first round pick or even early second round pick. I like him a lot. Don't get me wrong, but I just think, man, taking him in the top 5 is risky because he just really wasn't relied on at Michigan too much. And he's kind of still a ball of clay right now that you have to mold into a potential franchise quarterback. And I'm kind of scared of handing him the keys to an offense day one and saying, hey, you're the guy, you're the top 5 pick, go, save our franchise. Now, I will say there is no better situation for a rookie quarterback to walk into than what Minnesota has right now. I mean, you've got an elite receiving core with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson at tight end, one of the best tight ends in the league. You have 2 elite offensive tackles protecting you in Christian Darrisaw and Brian O'Neill. And then you got an excellent head coach drawing up plays for you as well. So I think JJ McCarthy, it would go into a very advantageous situation. I think that's a really, really good thing for him. Or as you look at a situation like the New England Patriots, I'm a little bit scared for whoever they take at number 3 because I think that's not a great situation they got right now. But Minnesota's a great situation. I don't think he's worth trading multiple first-round picks and getting into the top 5 for a guy like him. I think he's a really solid quarterback prospect and one I would take in the first round. I just don't think he's worth the top 5 or even top 10 hype he's getting right now.
Max, we discussed a little bit yesterday, but in lieu of the Stephon Diggs trade, and Buffalo now suddenly a wide receiver needy team, they were probably one already with the departure of Gabe Davis. Like, how vital is it? Because I get it. There are going to be guys in the late first, day 2, that are going to emerge as really good players at receiver. But if you're the Arizona Cardinals and you opt to water down your pick, go to 11 and 23, or you don't take a receiver and you pass on Marvin Harrison Jr., joining the scrum of about, 15 plus other NFL teams fighting for the likes of Ladd McConkey's of the world, I would imagine, with all due respect to Ladd McConkey, that's not a place the Cardinals want to be. I mean, how important do you think it is to secure your guy as the number 1 receiver so you're not fighting with all these other teams? Receivers become a premium position. And I do think, as good as this class is, we're going to see some players overdrafted. Like Bo and I talk about it every day. This is the year to cherry pick your defenders later. Like, there's going to be good defenders that are pushed to you. If you pass on a receiver early, it just puts them, doesn't it, in a really non-precarious position to have to go and fight for maybe that somebody isn't truly a wide receiver 1.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. That's why exactly I'm saying right now they have to stick at number 4. I think unless you get a king's ransom to get out of that pick, because it is, drafting, I would say, like, it's usually not worth it if you're trying to pick a franchise quarterback. If you're taking a non-quarterback and you get a king's ransom to move up, it's probably worth it to move back, or at least what the analytics say. But as a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. is such a sure thing, and like I said, a once-in-a-decade type of talent, at a position, it's not even like the Cardinals are okay at receiver. Like, that's a desperate need for Arizona right now. That's why I think, man, I don't like moving back and getting Brian Thomas Jr. And maybe, if they do move back, maybe they can, and they have 3 first-round picks in this draft, maybe use 2 of them on receivers, honestly. Maybe then I would be like, okay, actually, I kind of like that. If you lose Brian Thomas Jr., you get maybe A.D. Mitchell as well. Like, okay, then at least that is a little bit better. But I just like taking the elite talent in Marvin Harrison Jr. right now. And yeah, it's a great point where there is a pretty, don't get me wrong, this is one of the better receiver classes I can remember. But the top 3 is the top 3. It is Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, and Rome Odunze. Any one of those 3 guys, I think, are legitimate number 1 receivers in the NFL pretty much almost immediately when they walk into that building. Everyone else I really like, but I'd see them as more wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3s in the NFL. And I don't think they have the upside, or maybe I don't think they will turn into number 1 receivers for a team. Whereas the top 3 in this class right now, they're all going to be top 10 picks. So the Cardinals probably can't get any of them at number 11.
No.
That's why I think those 3 are head and shoulders above pretty much everyone else right now.
You've got his teammate. You got Brian Thomas Jr. as we talk about him. His teammate Malik Neighbors on Instagram Live saying he's a Buffalo Bill. He's hearing on the streets that he's a Buffalo Bill, and like the Bills, they've been known to aggressively get up draft boards and get their guys. And you gotta imagine that they're going to be players to get up and get themselves in a position to get one of these wide receivers with the state of their room. Max, let me ask you this. Is there anybody in this class that's not getting enough love that you really do like watching play football and maybe would look good wearing Cardinals red and white?
Oh, okay. Yeah, actually, I'll give you a name that I think could be available at your second first round pick that I personally think is being super slept on. That is Kool-Aid McKinstry, who would fit another big need for the Cardinals, which is at corner. And I think that if they end up getting Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kool-Aid McKinstry, they won the draft, at least in my mind. Like that is, I think we actually on my show we just put out our defensive rankings for every position. I had Kool-Aid number 1 for my corner rankings, and I understand that's a hot take for a lot of people. For me, and I understand, the guys above him, at least in the consensus rankings, like Cooper DeJean, like Quinyon Mitchell, like Terrion Arnold, like Nate Wiggins, all those guys are elite athletes. And Kool-Aid McKinstry is an above average athlete. He's not an elite athlete. But what he is elite at is playing football. The last 2 years, he's been arguably the best corner in college football. And the only reason why Terrion Arnold, his teammate, is being projected as a first-round pick right now is because quarterbacks quite literally ignored Kool-Aid's side of the field and did not look his way at all. And Terrion got a lot of the targets, and to his credit, played really well on those targets. But that's really the reason why he was able to, launch up draft boards like he did this past season. Kool-Aid McKinstry has been a lockdown, shutdown corner. His tape is honestly boring out there because he's just like doing cardio, just running with receivers, not getting targeted at all. But yeah, I think Kool-Aid McKinstry, man, he is a special talent. And I think people are overthinking him right now because he's not an elite athlete. He's still a good athlete, but he's not an elite athlete. I think people are overthinking him, and I think he's still the number 1 corner in this draft, and he probably will be there with the Cardinals' second first-round pick, and I think that he would fit really well in their defense, in a zone-heavy defense like they have. I think he would be a really, really good player there. So Kool-Aid McKinstry is kind of the guy that I think the Cardinals could be taking it with that second first-round pick, and if they do, like I said, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kool-Aid McKinstry, it's hard for me to find a better duo out of that first round than those two right there.
Max, I'm going to put you on the spot here. So the Cardinals have obviously picked 27. They have a need at left guard, but they could have a potential long-term need at tackle. So Jonah Williams was signed on a 2-year deal, and they've got some flexibility there opposite Paris Johnson Jr. Is there an interior or tackle prospect that could kick inside for a year or two and then either stay there or long-term projects as a right tackle that you like? So there's a lot of good offensive linemen, but is there one in particular that might fit that narrative that could be available at pick 27?
Yeah, I think there's a few guys that could be available. Again, it's such a loaded class that I think they're going to fly off the board. Once Alt comes off the board, I think, man, I think a guy like Troy Fatano. I don't think he'll be there. I think he's gonna be a top 20 pick. But if he somehow does fall, he's got great flexibility to play pretty much all 5 positions of the offensive line. I think he's a guy that could really be a really valuable player for the Cardinals if they decide to pick him there at 27. Amarius Mims, I think, could play a little bit of guard. He's a huge tackle. I don't know if he'll be there again. Like, he's another guy I could see going top 25 as well. A guy I don't love, but Tyler Guyton from Oklahoma. I don't think he's worthy of being a first-round pick, but he's probably going to end up being a first-round pick. I think he will be there at 27. I don't love that value for him if you want to take him there. He's more of a day 2 player for me. But Jordan Morgan from Arizona, another guy I really like. I think he's, again, more of like a day 2 player, but I think he's still
fringe.
Yeah, exactly, like a fringe player. So, but I think that's an interesting spot for the Cardinals to be in. I think an offensive lineman for them would be like maybe Jackson Powers Johnson. He can't really play tackle long term, but if you want to take him and play guard, like I think that'd be a good spot. But that's why I kind of like the strategy of if you have 2 first-round picks to take a receiver, obviously Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 4, and then I think taking a corner at 27, because I think there are going to be some really, really good corners on the board at 27. I think that's probably the way I would go for the Cardinals, because I think those are their 2 biggest needs probably right now, along with linebacker, but there really isn't a first-round linebacker that I would take. But I think receiver and then corner at 27. I think that's kind of the way I would go if I was the Cardinals.
Yeah, former Cardinals GM Steve Keim could probably find a linebacker he would take in the first round, but that's what got his ass fired.
Wilson.
Yeah. That's right. He would be all over Peyton Wilson at NC State. But let me ask you, I mean, we'll get you out on this, and we're 3 weeks away from the actual draft, and there's so much speculation going on, but reading your work, is it shaping up that this year, of course, we got wide receiver tackle class that are elite. Is the interior defensive line shaping up to be that next draft? Because your rankings, the kid out of Michigan, Mason Graham, the kid out of Kentucky, I mean, you got those guys ahead of guys that are projected to go in the first round in the interior defensive line this year.
Yeah, dude, it is. I not even interior defensive line. The entire defensive side of the ball is ridiculous next year. Whereas this year's offensive class is ridiculous. Next year's defensive draft, like there is not a single 2024 prospect who would be the number one player at their position on the defensive side of the ball if you included 2025 guys and 2026 guys even too. Defensively, and I think D tackle is going to be unbelievable. Like Mason Graham and Deion. Well, I love Johnny Newton, the Illinois D tackle. I think if you take him top 10, top 15, I don't hate that pick at all. And yet he's still the number 3 D tackle on that list for me. So I think Mason Graham and Deion Walker could be top 5, top 10 picks, honestly. Like I think they're special. And then James Pierce Jr., the edge from Tennessee, also is special talent. He could be the number 1 overall pick, honestly, I think. Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan, I love. Ben Morrison, another is a great corner class as well. Great safety class. Really good linebacker class. Like I said, this year's draft is all about the offense. Next year's draft is all about the defense. And there's a lot of really, really talented defensive players in 2025 right now.
He's the host of PFF's College Football Show. Follow him on Twitter, Max Chadwick at CFB. Max, thank you so much for taking some time. We promise we won't wait till next draft season to have you back on, my friend.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate having me on.
It's exciting stuff. I mean, for it to go from offense to defense just like that, I mean, but I think the Cardinals are going to have to do a lot of work between, now and next draft season on that defense to be competitive. Like I think they've done a good job in free agency, and they're going to do a good job, day 2 and day 3, really reworking this defense. And it starts there, but like to find some blue chippers potentially with, I mean, if we talk about a trade down scenario with 2 first-round picks, that's a little encouraging.
Yeah, and again, that even though there are great projected defensive linemen next year, like if Johnny Newton or Byron Murphy were to fall to at the right spot, you have to pull the trigger. I think there are going to be some really nice developmental defensive linemen day 2 and day 3 for the Cardinals. But like we know where the bread is buttered in this draft. It's with receiver, tackle, and quarterback, and the Cardinals don't need a QB, thankfully. So it's like the Cardinals need to lean in. We keep saying this to the strength of the draft. And so, I respect Max's opinion as it relates to like the cornerback group.
Mm-hmm.
I think 27 is too rich for me to take a non-front 7 line of scrimmage.
You want an edge? Just how
like an edge or an offensive lineman or a defensive like get somebody who impacts the game at the line of scrimmage. Whereas if you're going non-line of scrimmage player 4, after we talked to Jonathan Gann at the combine, and he put such an emphasis on line of scrimmage play, and the Cardinals feel like both their line of scrimmages need ample improvement. I mean, they have to get better. And you're going to go wide receiver, corner. I think they'll do it differently than that.
Yeah. Sol Bookman asking if we coordinated shirts, saying it's cute. Look,
Company Man. We're gonna rename this podcast Company Man.
Nightingale Sunsets in. I want to bread Johnny's butter. Let's keep this a family program around here. Let me just say this.
I've heard that. Am I right?
Max put out his interior defensive line rankings. As he said, he's got 2 guys who are going to play at the collegiate ranks next year. Okay. This kid out of Kentucky, Deion Walker.
I was reading this too.
6'6", 348 pounds.
Like 50 pressures.
50 pressures out of the SEC.
Hang on. We're not. I can't.
Johnny,
we're 3 weeks away from this draft. Can we wait, please? Can we take a second and wait to talk 2025 draft prospects, please?
51 pressures.
That's nuts. At 6'6".
Yeah.
Also, Mason Graham played with Fafita and T-Mac in high school.
He did have T-Mac on it. He was in his top 10 wide receivers with everybody involved. He's got T-Mac ahead of some projected first-round players.
Tracy McGrady? Play with Tracy McGrady? T-Mac?
You'll learn, Johnny. You'll learn next year.
I'm trying to learn this class. Can we focus on this class? Focus on this $5 super chat. Deuce. Hashtag Joe Alt at 4. We need the ultimate weapon. Wow. O-line eligible receiver downfield. He did play tight end. End zone giant. LFG PHNX Sports. Jobo. Alt plus neighbors equals win. Loves Clayton Tune. Here's what I love about Deuce, because he's committed to the Tune shtick, and that's legitimate. Tune could be QB2. I think he will. In what world are the Cardinals getting Malik Neighbors and Joe Alt? Like we just heard our guy Max from PFF. Like, I think it's a really nice outline. It's like, if you don't take Marvin Harrison Jr., there's a good chance it's like Marvin, Malik, and Joe Alt are like the next 3 picks of the draft after JJ McCarthy. Like it's over for you. It's done. So, 11s and 23 are great, but the elite talent's going to be gone.
Right. Yeah. Start speaking 2nd round, 3rd round receivers at that point, because you're punting on the ability to improve your receiver room without reaching in the first round at that position. And like, I love him. He's always in the chat, always super chats, very generous. But if the Cardinals were to take Joe Alt 4, I would vomit, and then I would probably quit the show.
I'm going to tell you right now, I think I would rather have Joe Alt.
That's the worst of all scenarios.
No, it's not. No,
realities. Yes, it is.
No.
If Marvin Harrison Jr. is on the board and the Cardinals said, you know what, no trade down, but no Marv, we're taking Joe Alt, I'll walk off the set.
That would sting.
I'll never come back.
I think it's worse. Yes, it would sting. I'll tell you what's worse.
It would sting. It's terrible.
I think worse is
with Marvin Harrison Jr. on the board,
trading down for 11 and 23, and then like a sweetener, like he said, so you don't get your first next year, and taking like a vanilla player at 11 and a vanilla player at 23. I think that's worse. I would rather have Joe Alt than Quinyon Mitchell and Mims at 23.
Like
easily.
Look at Joel say, take Joe Alt to play guard over Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean,
that's true. He would play guard.
Franchise malpractice. Like
that's a kind move.
Just drive
head.
Just stab me in the heart right there.
A 6'9" guard. Yeah. That would be insane.
You love it. So our guy Jordan Schultz, he was active this morning on the Twitter streets. Mm-hmm. And two separate stories, but they're very much tied to each other. Let's start with the first one. So Rome Odunze, busy guy, is taking his top 30 visit with the Arizona Cardinals soon. This is from Jordan. Friend of the program, was just co-hosting The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Like, we got to get him back on the show ASAP. He said, speaking of Caleb Williams and the Bears, Chicago is hosting another top prospect today, Washington's wide receiver Rome Odunze. After that, I'm told Rome's next top 30 visit will be with the Arizona Cardinals, who currently hold pick 4, although multiple league sources say they're a prime candidate to trade to the back, or trade back in the draft, not to the back of the draft, to trade back in the draft. This comes on the heels of about a week ago, Jordan now doubling down on his report nationally that the Cardinals want to trade down. So it feels like every time, Bo, Jordan has an opportunity to talk about this team that he's very well connected to, he makes a point of emphasis to say the Cardinals want to trade down. They're a prime candidate, not even a sleeper at this point. What do you make of this?
Well, let me ask you this. Do you believe that Monty Ossenfort is motivated to trade down, or do you think Monty Ossenfort is willing to trade down?
I think he's motivated to.
That's a bit.
I think his philosophy. Yeah. Listen, he's not going to take whatever. And if the Vikings opt to balk at the asking price, there's an asking price. And if the Vikings opt to balk at it, then he'll move forward. Or if the Vikings somehow make a deal with New England, then the Cardinals don't have a trade partner. That's easy. But if the Vikings and the Cardinals are cordial right now, conversations are going to continue. Conversations are going to be out there. But where I think we're kind of maybe seeing a pivot from Minnesota, the Vikings sent all their people, and I think this is pure PR.
Yeah.
They're slobbering all over Michael Penix Jr. And like, that's fine. There was a report today, like a couple minutes later from Schultz, that the Vikings flew out, met with them, did the whole 9 yards. I think we've got it here on the show. The Vikings flew out their whole staff for a private workout with Michael Penix Jr. in Seattle, including Kevin O'Connell, their general manager. I'm told Penix has a top 30 with the Raiders today, who currently hold the 13th pick in the draft. So there's a lot of peeps out there that are very adamant that Michael Penix Jr. is going to be a top 15 pick. Okay. Yet when Benjamin Albright, Bo, is asked about Michael Penix, and Bo Nix for that matter, he's very adamant, like back half of the first round at best. Bo Nix is not going to be a first round pick. Like, I think Michael Penix goes in the first round, but like, if you're the Vikings, are you taking him in 11? You're not doing that. Like,
right.
I think, and you're not taking your franchise quarterback at 23 after you pass on him at 11. So I think this is a charade. I'm calling it a big fat charade.
Right.
That means nothing.
Absolutely. And like, it's not going to smoke screen or murky the waters for one Monty Ossenfort. He's not going to be fooled by it. Like, I don't understand even going through with the charade that they're trying to create here, like through Kevin Seifert of ESPN.com, who covers the Vikings, taking quotes from Kevin O'Connell at the league meetings saying, well, we're ready to pivot any direction. We could go to 2025. So it's like, okay, Haas,
shut up,
go
Kevin.
for it. Carson Beck, great. You wouldn't even be in play for Carson Beck. Like you'd have to give up a king's ransom to get up the draft board in order to get who's right now the projected first quarterback off the board right now, or Shedeur Sanders, whoever it may be. So yeah, I think that they're wasting time, they're wasting resources, they're putting on this whole dog and pony show where just what they should be trying to do is iron out the framework of the deal and understand what's going to get Monty Ossenfort to sign off on trading out of the 4th overall pick. It doesn't make sense. You can't, like, Michael Penix Jr. had a fantastic college career. What he was able to achieve at Indiana and then go on to Washington and just play 27 straight games, healthy, overcome the 2 ACL injuries, and then make a unprecedented run to the college football playoff final with the receiving core that he had. Like that's applaudable. But at the same time, to say Michael Penix Jr., legitimate quarterback that's going to be your franchise signal caller for this year and beyond, you can't sell 32 teams on that. You're barely selling yourself on that. I just think it's unrealistic and it's a waste of time.
It is a waste of time. I think somebody takes him in the first round for a 5th-year option, but who is his comp right now with a lot of people? It's Geno Smith.
Right.
Where'd Geno Smith go? The top of the 2nd round. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But as somebody points it out in the chat, Josh, Penix has 2 bum legs. He's had major injuries. He's an older player. He's got an irregular throwing motion. Like if you're the Minnesota Vikings and Michael Penix Jr. is a rookie on your team, he's gonna be 24 years old when you start the season. Like, and Caleb Williams is 2021. Like, you don't add additional 1st-round ammunition to come up or to sit and pick for Michael Penix. It just, I think this is the
you got JJ McCarthy who's 20,
right? Yeah, I mean, like
Michael
Penix was a better college player than JJ McCarthy. This is about projecting to the NFL.
Right.
This is not about if it was about statistics, then Colt McCoy and Colt Brennan would have the best NFL careers because they threw for like 100 touchdowns at the collegiate level. That's not what this is about. This is about looking ahead to NFL trades. And like, there are some question marks with Michael Penix. Like,
can somebody explain the ASU game? Can anybody explain that?
I completely forgotten about that game.
They didn't score an offensive touchdown in that game.
It was bad.
ASU wasn't dominant defensively.
They weren't?
What? Yeah, sorry.
What?
Damon, were they?
They were better offensively for sure, or defensively for sure than offensively. They were a complete joke offensively.
I think Anthony Totri played nickel corner for them this year. I think Totri was at nickel corner. Shane was at edge rusher.
Shane's got a good repertoire of moves, though.
He does. He's got a spin move you'd kill for. And this is going to come. This is going to be like, this is Fields 2.0 on this show. I like Michael Penix. I think in the right situation, he could work. And I like Justin Fields. But we're not going to come on here and force feed people misinformation. The Vikings are not taking Michael Penix Jr. The Vikings did not trade up into the 1st round to slobber all over. Nothing has changed if you're the Vikings and you watch Michael Penix all year. You have the same opinion. So now you're like getting buddy with him at his pro day and he looked okay throwing the ball at the combine. Hey, congratulations. I talking with most people, JJ McCarthy had the better combine performance than Michael Penix. Like that was evident after. So now it's just like, oh, he had a nice pro day and you ran a 4.5. Awesome. That's not what quarterbacking at the NFL level is.
Plus, it's disrespect for the poor prospect. I mean, Michael Penix, like, don't gas him up and blow smoke up his ass. I mean, he's trying to figure out where he's going to play ball next year, and you got them sending their full contingent there and making him feel like he could potentially be just a pick on the outside of the top 10 at 11th overall. I mean, to me, that's more unfair in using him as a pawn in their scheme to get up the draft board.
It's like the algorithm, Twitter streets, NFL rumors. The Minnesota Vikings have been doing a lot of homework on Michael Penix Jr. There should be a sub-bullet to saying the Cardinals are asking a lot for pick 4, so the Vikings are putting out misinformation. Like, that's what's happening.
Right. They're scrambling to put out.
When did you and I do that Friday show when they traded up? How long ago was that? Was that 3 weeks ago? Was that 2 weeks ago?
It was the first week of free agency.
Okay. So it was March 15th. Okay. 1, 2, 3. It's 3 weeks ago. So the Vikings knew 3 weeks ago who they wanted. Was it Michael Penix 3 weeks ago? No. No, it wasn't. They wanted JJ McCarthy or Drake May. And that's why they added a first round 3 weeks ago. That's when the deal got done to come up for more picks. They probably decided on this like 7 to 10 to 14 days prior than that at the end of February. No one was talking about Michael Penix at that time. Come on. Let's use our brains here. If they wanted Michael Penix, they could just stay at 11 and then trade. They wouldn't be adding first round picks. Come on. For a team that, yeah.
I'm seeing a ton of comps in here. It's hilarious. Ozzy's got JJ McCarthy as Josh Rosen. Joel's saying he's Jimmy G. Look, Jimmy G won a lot of games before he just absolutely fell apart. There's the Geno comps, obviously, for Penix. Arizona Animal calling it prospect abuse.
We're here to abuse. We do abuse.
I mean, as unhinged as Benjamin Albright's 12 pick mock draft was, where he had the Cardinals trading down and trading back up, in everything in between. He basically outlined that Minnesota, they're prepared to go with, they like multiple quarterbacks, right? And it could be a trio of them. It could be, Jaden Daniels, who seems like he's a lockdown to go to Washington at 2nd overall, and then Drake May potentially at 3 to New England. And then, whoever wants to come up for JJ McCarthy. And it really seems like the Minnesota Vikings prepared themselves, as you said, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, you can like multiple QB. Like, I like multiple destination places to vacation with my families. I'd love to go to the Bahamas, love to go to Hawaii. I'm not then going to pivot to like a Carnival cruise ship. Like, that's what you're talking about here. It's like, oh yeah, we love Caleb Williams and Drake May and JJ McCarthy, but that means by default, we also got to love Michael Penix. It's like, no, man, like everybody's telling you right now, there are 2 to 3 elite guys, and then there's a fringe guy in that group. Well, for Caleb's in his own group, and then there's 2 to 3 guys in that next group.
Right.
And then there's the third group, which has Bo Nix and Michael Penix, and maybe even like a Spencer Rattler. Those are the tiers in this.
You love the Bahamas? I got a great place in the Ozarks. Are you ready? Let's book a trip right now. Let's book a trip.
I have a timeshare in Gary, Indiana.
I know this is not necessarily the conversation you guys are having, but I do like the value of staying and picking Michael Penix over trading up assets for JJ McCarthy.
Because we don't like JJ McCarthy either on this podcast. Like, I think we're all in agreement that we think he's going to be overdrafted.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're probably closer in caliber of prospects at the end of the day, but McCarthy has the things that NFL teams covet more: age and ceiling. Whereas like Michael Penix is what he is, I think. I think how much better can he get? I don't know how much better he can get, but I think his deep ball ability gives him a decently high ceiling. Because he does throw, he has a great arm and he throws an incredible deep ball. And if he can hone in on that in the league, I don't see how that won't work.
But I think,
especially with Justin Jefferson,
McCarthy, you could argue he's got a better arm. I mean, he's clocked. The radar gun picked up. He had one of the better.
I think
miles per hour thrown
from a sports science perspective.
Yeah, and he put on a decent show in his own right at the combine. And Michael, like, would you rather take Michael Penix with 2 surgeries on his leg, 3 years older, almost 4 years older, or a guy like JJ McCarthy, who, he was on the team that won the last game of the season. Penix was the team that lost.
That's splitting hairs, though. I mean, those teams played completely different styles of football. Michigan is a run-first squad defense. Washington got there because of Michael Penix and his deep ball ability.
I mean, it wasn't like it was just Michael Penix on that team.
It was Michael Penix and Roma Dunze and Jalen Polk and Jalen McMillan.
Their offensive line, and they had some decent players on defense.
I don't like it. Makes no difference to me. I don't care. I don't care who's like. Neither one of them are going to be drafted by the Cardinals. This means nothing to me. Here's what matters. What Benjamin Albright says is coming from league executives, people in the NFL. Not draft Twitter. And I love draft Twitter. But draft Twitter is going to put up highlight clips of Michael Penix and be like, he's better than JJ McCarthy.
He is.
The NFL, through Benjamin Albright, is telling you they prefer JJ McCarthy. So that's what I'm going to lean toward. When we were told last year on this show by Benjamin Albright, the Cardinals don't like Will Anderson Jr., they want to trade down. And that's what they did. Like, You want insight. So just we have to separate it for a second. Just because we all think Michael Penix is a flashier, better prospect, the NFL doesn't think like that.
Well, like the NFL stock exchange, like when they look at what they value in the skill set, the age, all the variables that at play here, when you're trying to evaluate, especially that position, and where you're gonna put all your chips in the middle of the table, especially what the Minnesota Vikings are willing to do, get up the draft board. They would rather do it for the more, I guess, the younger or I guess durable player in JJ McCarthy.
The guy who they think has a higher ceiling because he was not asked to throw
more projectables.
He was not asked to throw a pass in the second round against Penn State. We're going to get more into this, but first I want to tell you about our friends at BetMGM.
I have to tell you this. Our GM put his hands up. He couldn't believe it. He can't believe that we are disrespecting Michael Penix like we are in the show.
He's a great college player.
He walked out. He stormed out of the room.
I'm sorry. I don't feel bad about it. I do feel bad if I don't tell the fine folks about First Bet. $1,500 with our friends at BetMGM. Listen, the draft props, they're live right now with First Bet, and you can dabble with them using the bonus code PHNX. Download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on your iOS, Android, or visit BetMGM.com. Sign up and deposit at least $10 into your BetMGM Sportsbook account. Place your first wager and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if it loses. So you bet 10, you get 10 in bonus bets. If it loses, if it busts, same thing with 100, 200, all the way up to 1,500. But you got to use BetMGM, and you got to use that bonus code PHNX. No better time than now to dabble. We've got MLB action right now. We're 2 weeks in, of course, Final Fours, men and women. And then, of course, our sweet baby NFL draft. The prospects, the draft props, they're up and they're live. There's only going to get more. So get in on the action right now. Check out the show notes for full details and listen to my guy, Shane Diefenbach, talk about it in the disclaimer.
Bets expire in 7 days. One new customer offer only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus only. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. See BetMGM.com for terms. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, North Carolina, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
A lot of good ways to win money. Of course, betting with our friends over at BetMGM. Also, checking in with our friends over at Arizona Lottery, their new promotion. How about the Arizona Adventure promotion? It's a new ticket where you don't just get in your lucky coin and you're scratching off your favorite three iconic landscapes here in the great state of Arizona, like Picacho Peak, Monument Valley, and Camelback Mountain. Tickets you can win up to $50,000 with, but you could also get out and adventure yourself in our great state from Yuma to Flagstaff. You can check in on these geolocated adventures, these 10 destinations across the state. Just visit www.azadventure.com for details and directions. Check in at a destination with coordinates on the website, and you can check in with tickets online for a chance to win $1 million in cash and Arizona travel prizes. Arizona Lottery says proceeds from ticket sales supports environmental conservation, among other important initiatives across the state, because the Arizona Lottery is not just about playing games and winning prizes. It's about giving back to its states and its communities. Visit azadventure.com for more info on how you can take an adventure for a chance to win $1 million in cash and Arizona travel prizes. azadventure.com.
I'm ready for an adventure in the chat here. Super chat style, baby. We got 2 on the docket. $7 super chat from our guy, Doug. Number 1, name's Doug. First time I have super chatted your show. Mostly watch PHNX Suns. You guys are awesome too. Well, thank you so much, Doug. Good to have you. We've got a larger array of fine programming here at PHNX Sports. So be sure to tune in. Of course, Diamondbacks in full throttle. Coyotes, a lot going on with the team and the owner and everything. So yeah, you want to keep it tapped in. Ring that bell for notifications every time a PHNX Sports program goes live, Bo.
Yeah, we're here every day at 4:30. We're going to be here all 3 days of the NFL draft, which is 3 weeks away. Cannot wait for that. So keep it, of course, locked into PHNX Sports here on YouTube, wherever you find podcasts. Short Stack Goblin, $1.99 super chat, 11 and 23 in a 20s pick is a swift sack kick. There you go. Putting it pretty succinctly right there.
Yep. A swift kick in the sack when you're watching Marvin Harrison Jr. going for about 1,400 as a rookie for the Los Angeles Chargers. But we got some time. We're 3 weeks away from today. We're going to be live at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. If, by the way, you didn't get tickets to the draft party, we have 6 tickets to give out. We're going to do them, I think, singular, right? I don't think we're going to do them in pairs. I think we're going to do them one-off singular tickets, and we're going to start giving those puppies out tomorrow on the show. So Gila River Resorts and Casinos ticket giveaway. The draft party starts at 4 p.m. Hey, you guys like free food, free drinks, right? Of course, you get your tickets. They are for free. We've got 6 remaining. The other tickets, they've sold out. We're expecting 100+ people. PHNX sports personalities, of course, myself, Bo Brack, Damon Dog, Britton Golden. We're going to be live throughout the duration of the first round. We're putting everything into perspective, everything together for our draft coverage, and it all kicks off 3 weeks from today. So if I'm thinking about coming to the draft party and bring your playbook. If I'm thinking about the draft party, I'm thinking about going to gophnx.com and picking up some gears, picking up some merch. So I have it locked and loaded, ready to go for the draft party, Bo.
I think there's going to be a box of PHNX gear that is going to be going for free after Johnny's giving his walking papers here at the end of today's show. But we got to thank our guy, David Lee, who secured 6 extra tickets and wanted us to be able to give it away to all you fine people. And so big thanks to our guy, David Lee, for being so kind, so generous, and getting 6 tickets, having the foresight, because we're a bunch of idiots and we didn't think that the draft party was going to fill up as quickly as it did. We apologize for that, but we are pumped about what's going to happen at Gila River Resort and Casinos out there Wild Horse Pass 3 weeks from today.
Underestimating the Bird Gang?
I don't know.
That's crazy, Bo.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm many things, but a smart man, I've never been accused of it.
Here's how you become eligible to win a free ticket on tomorrow's show. I'm just going to give you the skinny right now. If you're watching, we got almost 500 people. Okay. You got to be here on the 25th, right? We respectfully don't want to give tickets out to people who are not going to be in the area. You got to DM Bo or I between now and tomorrow, wide open, Twitter DMs, and say, I would like to be in consideration for a free ticket. We're going to take all the names, all the peeps, right? Give us your first and last name, and we're going to put it in a bowl, and we're going to draw out a couple tickets tomorrow, and we're going to do the same thing next week. That's about as fair as we can do it. We want to make sure everybody has an opportunity. If you didn't get a ticket and you plan on coming and we want to see you there and you want to get on the list, just DM Bo and I, and you will be instantly inputted into the drawing.
That's right. Yep. These are, this is going to be awesome. This is going to get those who just missed out a ticket to the dance. Come have an unbelievable night with us. It's going to be electric no matter what happens. As of right now, the Cardinals, for that draft party, they've got 2 picks. They could have 3 picks, or they could have that, those 2 where it could be Marvin Harrison Jr. As they mentioned, what would be the perfect draft. I saw Pro Football Focus said the perfect draft for the Cardinals, Johnny, Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4 and Latu at 27. What do you think about that?
I don't like that. Latu, if you guys are scoring at home, has already medically once retired. And so I don't think that's a perfect fit for the Cardinals at 27. I like his skill set. I would say a perfect draft for the Cardinals would be 4, 27, and 35 going as follows. 4 would be Marvin Harrison Jr., 27 would be Jerzon Johnny Newton, and 35 would be, I like Tyler Guyton more than most, best available offensive lineman, interior, offensive tackle, whatever you want to do. Maybe the kid from Washington, maybe, I don't know, Jackson Powers Johnson, Barton from Duke, somebody like that. That combination, Marvin plus Johnny Newton plus a lineman of note, that's my best case scenario.
Yeah, I can't get away from the edge position because,
I know.
With the wide receiver spot that you would take it care of with Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4, that immediately bolsters your wide receiver core. And it's Marvin Harrison Jr. at the X spot. You've got Greg Dortch thriving in the slot, and you've got Michael Wilson at the Z receiver spot. I mean, that's looking really good with a big play guy and Chris Moore as your 4th wide receiver. And then, of course, what Trey McBride brings as far as the tight end position. But then you look at what they haven't done as far as addressing their pass rush this year. I mean, I think they're just viewing it as, okay, you've got 3 guys that are in consideration probably for, top edge in this class. And at one point, Latu was at the top of that group. Dallas Turner has since kind of taken over the consensus top edge guy. Jared Verse is probably 2, and then Latu is probably 3. I don't think you can discount the production that he had at UCLA last year, how he's bounced back from being medically retired. I know he's got the comments about being a fireman and stuff, but at the same time, like, he can't control what they're going to ask him at the combine. Sure, you'd like the guy to say, I don't care what my life after football looks like, and I don't have a, you know, a plan B as far as what job I would like to have.
We can't seriously care about that, guys, about that question.
I
mean, that holds no weight. Come on, Johnny.
I mean, if you're gonna put stock in his answer to that, you got to put stock in the fact that Roman Dunze thinks he's gonna crash an airplane. He has no confidence in himself as a pilot of an airplane.
They hold equal value,
right?
In my eyes.
I don't dislike Latu at 27. Let me just be clear. If you get Marvin, who is such a sure thing in my mind, then you have the right. It's how I felt about Robert Kimdichie once upon a time. It's good value at the end of the first round. It didn't work out. It was a huge mistake, drafting him over Chris Jones. But I do think you can, with Marvin in house, which is a sure thing in my mind, you can roll the dice a little bit at 27 or 35. Doesn't mean that's my preference. I think this team needs to start hitting some doubles and some triples in the draft. And I wouldn't be thrilled. Like, because again, Latu, what would you say there's a better chance? You think there's a better chance that he becomes an all-pro or probably has some injuries at the NFL level? I think you have to go with, yeah, he had some injuries at the collegiate level. He was really good this year for Chip Kelly on a bad UCLA team. Like, how is that going to translate? Because for me, if he fell out of the first round, that would not surprise me. When you have significant medical red flags, teams just are going to look at their owner, they're going to look at their general manager and their scouts and just say, like, we like him a lot, not in the first round. And that's just my thought on him. I would rather take Chop Robinson at 27 because I know that he's a moldable piece of clay with no injury history for Jonathan Gannon. I think you can get like 8 to 12 sacks a year out of that guy.
Well, I think that's what the brilliance of 27 is, because there is a lot of depth. I know it looks a little scarier when you're passing on a generational type talent at the front end of the draft. But once you get to, you know, if we're talking 23, if you do a trade down, hopefully not. But if we're talking just specifically 27, like, you can look at guys like Graham Barton in the interior of the offensive line or whatever tackles left. I know that our guy Max said he didn't like Tyler Guyton so much, but he's probably going to be there. You can look at it between having 27 and 35, and you can find two starting caliber players and probably at two premium positions. And if you get whether it's like a Latu or a guy like you said, Chop Robinson. So it's like, okay, if you're going to take a guy at 27, you're probably taking Latu at the edge position. But if you're waiting and you take a Graham Barton at 27 and then wait till 35, you could probably land yourself Chop Robinson. And it's just like, okay, you just got yourself. I think you just maximized your first 3 picks of the draft.
Yeah, we're going to maximize picks here in our mock draft of the week via the PFF mock draft simulator. I do want to draw your attention. Somebody pointed this out to me on Twitter today. I can't, the name escapes me. I'll pull it up here. But, you know, earlier when we were talking about, like, sometimes less is more, Jordan on Twitter pointed this out to me. Like, sometimes more is less. So the Jacksonville Jaguars had a draft a couple of years ago where they had almost identical picks of what the Cardinals would have. I think they had 9 and 20. Let's pull it up here. This is the Jacksonville Jaguars class from a couple of years ago when they had just a robust group. 2020, they had picked 9, 20, and 42. Very close to 11, 23, and 35. Potentially, I know the Cardinals would have 27. But they had 2 firsts, a second, a third, 3 4s, 2 5s, 2 6s, and a 7. And they got a big goose egg from this draft class. Now, I trust Monty Austinford more than Trent Baalke, Bo. But I'm going to tell you right now, like, sometimes at the end of the day, there were better players to pick than C.J. Henderson. And there were players that went ahead. And I know the Jacksonville Jaguars didn't have an opportunity to trade down in this situation. They were trading. I think they had traded away Jalen Ramsey in this scenario. But just because you have a bunch of early picks, multiple in the first round, doesn't mean it's going to hit. You can still a chance you could go over.
Yeah, this was actually, and you text me this, and my response was Trent Baalke sucks at his job. That was my response, but it wasn't even Baalke. It was his predecessor. It was Caldwell, David Caldwell.
Oh man!
And so that draft class got his ass fired.
Yeah.
And you look at that draft class. And like, if you try to figure out like who they could have gone, who they could have pivoted.
I know who they were going to take it before the Cardinals took him. They were going to take Isaiah Simmons at 9.
Right. So they're going to take Simmons, but they ended up pivoting, taking the corner. And then, of course, we know who's on the board. Then there's the run on the tackles, right?
They're all good.
They're all
Outside of
good.
the Jets.
You had CeeDee Lamb in that draft class as well. And that didn't that end up getting them Trevor Lawrence eventually? So
yeah, I mean, they were terrible. That draft class did nothing. They lit it on fire. They gave away CJ Henderson for like a 6th-round pick a couple years ago.
I understand the cautionary tale. And it really what it does come down to is you have to hit on picks. And especially in a trade down scenario, you have to hit on 2 of those 3, in my opinion, that have to be rock solid starters, if not stars.
You have to get 1 Pro Bowler out of the group.
Yeah. I agree with that.
You can get a guy that
you see it like as
contract, but
that's that's what it very likely could be. I also I'm not gonna lie awake at night thinking about that draft class like, it could be Monty.
Like, what's the likelihood that Marvin Harrison Jr. makes a Pro Bowl in his career?
Very
high, very high. Is Quinyon Mitchell making a Pro Bowl? We don't know. Is Byron Murphy making a Pro Bowl? I hope so. Is, Fuaga or
as Baldy pointed
Latham?
out, I mean, look at all like organizations are investing in these hand in the dirt defensive linemen. Like, in the way to really get a hold of one is you have to draft one. And I know that the upcoming, like the 2025 class is probably more talented than this class, but there are players in this draft class that, could project between Byron Murphy and Johnny Newton to be one of those, a Christian Wilkins type, to be a Jeffrey Simmons type. But, you got to be in a position to take one. And, being at 4 and taking a generational type wide receiver, sure, that's a good reason not to be in a position. But then at 27, or if you're sitting at 11, 23, and 27, then, yeah, I think you have to take a shot. You have to take a swing at the plate at finding your own, game-wrecking defensive lineman.
We're going to cash in for maybe a D lineman here in our PFF mock draft simulator. But first, cash in with our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union, the official credit union of the Arizona Cardinals. For more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union. It's rep in PHNX Sports and the Venerable household. Love being a partner, a member with Desert Financial Credit Union. They've got folks, financial experts who are committed to their members. And they've got folks that just at the end of the day help kind of evaluate and get through all the minutia to tailor in helping real life people achieve their financial goals and dreams. They make it easier for folks like me to look into checking accounts, savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit card, investment options, and more. And they got a ton of locations here in the East Valley. Go get your money at an ATM. Get it on your time, on your dime with Desert Financial. Plus, if you're an Arizona sports fan, no better place to do your banking than with Desert Financial Credit Union. Rep the Red Sea with the Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card. I got it. People love it. Show your team spirit. Open up a free checking account online today. Check them out at desertfinancial.com/Cardinals to get started. It takes a matter of minutes, Bo, to open up the free checking account. Debit cards in the mail a couple days after the fact. I promise you, one of the best moves I've made in some time was switching out of my old Midwestern credit union for Desert Financial here in Arizona. It's a financial institution to make your financial life better. Don't delay.
Yeah, don't delay that. Sometimes one of the worst moments can be when that gas light comes on. Once you see the little empty on your dash and you have to pull in, you have to spend a ton of money as far as filling up your ride. No longer is that the case with the Inner Circle. Now I look forward to needing to get gas. I'll just pull into the closest Circle K, and it seems like they're on every corner here of Valley Surface Streets. And you got to check it out. You become a free member of the Inner Circle, and you start saving right away. I mean, the first 5 fill-ups, you're getting 25 cents off per gallon. It's unbelievable what they're doing over the Inner Circle. And when you're waiting there for your tank to fill up, you can go inside. You can get yourself some nice treats in there. You're saving, buy 2, save $1 on Pepsi products. You can get those Polar Pops. You get $1 M&M's, Snickers, Twix right now. Become a member of the Inner Circle right now and start cashing in on the rewards. Just download the app for free, sign up for free, and you get all these great things. Terms and conditions apply. Participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details.
Let's check out the PFF mock draft simulator. We've teased it for what seems like 3 days. It's our Building Our Empire Today, presented by Empire Today, Carpet and Flooring. They're elite, just as is our mock draft. Will it be elite today here on PHNX Cardinals as I present my screen to pull up the PFF mock draft simulator here? Arizona Cardinals, of course, Bo, pick 4. We're going to do 3 rounds per usual. I'll slow the speed down just so we can get a sense of what Chicago, Washington, and New England are set to do. Are you ready, my friend?
I'm ready. Just 3 rounds, huh?
Just 3 rounds today. We'll do.
Gotta be somewhere?
Yeah, I got to be somewhere. I got to be somewhere on this mock draft. I got to assess. I don't know if you know this or not. Cardinals have 6 picks in the top 90, you smartass. Let's get it started. Chicago Bears. We're not going to do a trade with Chicago. We're going to start this draft. And, of course, we've got Caleb Williams going first overall. Washington going Drake May. Interesting. And the Patriots going Marvin Harrison Jr. at pick 3. Do we start this over?
Why? What is going on at PFF?
Trevor Sycamore, get him on the phone. Got to start this over.
So you're restarting. Okay. I like it.
I am. That's trash. Come on.
All
right. Maybe it was
our building
idea.
Our Empire Today mock draft here at PHNX Cardinals. We're in 3 rounds.
Take randomness off here. Good hell. Positional value up maybe a little bit. What do you think about that?
I don't know what you did with the sliders. Hopefully it works. Let's go.
I love a good slider. All right, let's get it started. Now we've got Caleb, Drake, Jaden Daniels.
There it goes.
Right, that's a little bit better. All right, what's the play here? Do we trade for the set? We haven't traded in a minute.
We haven't?
I feel like we haven't traded in a while. We talked to Minnesota. They're interested. 11-23 for 4.
I feel like we trade every time.
I do too. I feel like we haven't done a stick and pick draft for a while.
All right, smartass. We're going to go Marvin then. How about Joe Alt?
No, as I said, that would be.
How dare you?
That would be tough. This is the hold the line draft.
Hold the line. Marvin Harrison Jr. pick 4.
TL.
Malik, JJ McCarthy. Oh, the Vikings are just crying in their pajamas. JJ McCarthy going 6th to the Giants.
They take Quinyon Mitchell.
Woof. See, I told you that Quinyon Mitchell's prime for pick 11.
Wait, where's Michael Penix? Is he still on the board?
Bo Nix to the Vikings at 23. God help you, Vikings fans. All right, Arizona Cardinals have a couple quality options here, including Kool-Aid McKinstry. Our guy Max from PFF says this would be best case scenario. Bo, you push back on that. What do you think the Cardinals would do in this scenario?
Man, you got a lot of really intriguing prospects on the board, especially at the interior offensive line position. Jackson Powers Johnson. You got Zach Frazier down the board. Tyler Guyton, the tackle on the board as well. Could maybe we know he's athletic. He played wasn't he a D end at one point, or was he a tight end convert? But like, he's athletic for a guy that plays the tackle position. And then you look at both some corners. You got Braden Fisk. I think Jackson Powers Johnson is maybe the play for the Cardinals. Put him at guard for a couple years, and with you got Yelda Froholt under contract for 1 more year, and then he could slide over, be your center for the future.
I love it.
He abused Arizona State in that game. If you've seen those highlights, he abused a lot of teams. He played his best football at the end of the year.
I think he fits like the culture. He's a fiery guy. He's a lot like Jonathan Gannon.
In Mobile, like he was like getting amped up like it was the Super Bowl for day 1 of practice. It was crazy to see.
A lot of people say this about me, as a fire hydrant like build with short arms and a barrel chest. I try to keep my belly at a minimum, though. All right, Jackson Powers Johnson. I believe that is the right choice as well. Best interior offensive lineman in my book. You get him at 27. That's a good consolation prize, gentlemen, for no edge rusher, and there remains no edge rusher here. At least one of no.
My old.
I'll give you credit. You were ahead of the curve on that. We took him too early in the mock draft. Now I see him at the end of some first round mocks right now. So I'll give you some credit there. You were ahead of the curve.
It's not that bad, but to act like it's the worst thing ever is like the funniest thing. To me.
I mean, it haunts my dreams. It does haunt my dreams. I like Fisk here potentially. Sanistril, maybe, but I think the front seven is where the Arizona Cardinals would potentially. Oh no, is Michael Penix still on the board?
Michael Penix, nice showing against Michigan and all those NFL defenders. Michael Penix, oh my God, we talked about it. ASU, 50 grade. Sorry, I just had to pull that up. My mistake. I had to grave dance on some people earlier that were clamoring for Michael Penix to be a top 15 pick.
So we're going to go with Braden Fisk here, the interior defensive lineman. What do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, like that's the chalk pick
for 35. Do we feel like maybe we could get some value?
I don't hate that idea. We haven't ever looked at a trade. The Chargers are interested, so you go 35.
Where are they?
They're at 37.
Okay, so just trade back 2 spots, not bad.
Yeah, you probably get pick 105 here, which is top of the 4th round. Pick 69. What's this here? Yeah, could you get a 2020? You get 2025 pick. I don't know if we have the appetite for that. Who else is interested? A lot of people are interested.
I mean, how about third? You get a future 3rd for just moving back 2 spots. You could probably still get Braden Fisk.
I want to get picks this year. Packers have a lot of picks. What about 4? You go back 6 spots and you get 88.
Okay. Another top 100 pick, top 90 pick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, my friend. And the trade's been accepted here. There's some cornerbacks that I think the Cardinals would dabble with. Jordan Morgan's gone. Fisk has not gone yet. Still available. Wow. Wheeling, dealing like only we can. I don't know. I think Fisk is a better prospect.
Yeah, he's an athletic freak. Had an awesome combine.
Let's do it. Cardinals now with an unprecedented 4 third-round picks here. Any temptation to move up at all, Bo?
Who would you want to get? You can pause.
Well, let's see who's available because I definitely think one of these 4 picks needs to be a wideout, if I'm allowed to say that.
I mean, I like Kyrie Jackson, the corner out of Oregon. I also like Braylon Trice, local product who played collegiately at Washington. I like those 2 picks right there. I don't like your idea of a wide receiver.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is the sweet spot. They did it at the top of the 3rd round last year. I think corner is the good move. Developmental guy. He's a big kid. He's 6'3", 195 of a press man cornerback, that being his skill set. And he's got some raw tools, and he played his best football at the beginning of the year against some lesser competition. But I trust Jonathan Gannon, and this is basically chalk of where he should be picked. And we've already taken a receiver. We've already taken an interior lineman, and we're not going off-ball linebacker or safety. So Kyrie Jackson, I think, is a nice quality pick. 2 players from Oregon in this draft for the Cardinals. And you know what? I don't hate it because Oregon was a really good team this year, Bo.
That's right. They competed with Washington, and I think they got a pretty good edge rusher here, a guy in Braylon Trice that you can make with your 2nd of 4 third-round picks.
Yeah, I think this is also the play abused ASU. The only player that didn't abuse ASU this year was Michael Penix. It's crazy. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll go Trice here. The board's kind of fallen into place for us here.
Yeah.
And
what's up with Deuce? His $2 super chat. I respect throwing some money down, but rename this episode "If Keim Were to GM this draft."
Damon, can I ask you a question? Why are the Dolphins forfeiting this pick here?
Because Brian Flores is a snitch. That answer your question?
Yeah, I had never noticed that.
Because of an unprecedented witch hunt by the NFL to make us forfeit picks because of tampering.
I want to take a running back here. I'm just full transparency. I want a running back. Am I a sick man?
A little bit. I mean, we got Jackson. If you missed it today, Antonio Hamilton signed with the Falcons. So you're looking for some corner help. I would much rather have a Brendan Rice.
I was about to say the same thing.
Well, you're going to get him at 90. So can we take a beat here? Trey Benson, Brendan Rice. You talk about some star power.
Yeah, but Benson's just not going to. When's he going to get an opportunity? Well, I guess James Conner will inevitably miss time. And he's going to be,
and he'll probably be gone after this year.
Could be his successor.
I mean, a lot of people think this is the best running back in the college football class. He's 20. He'll be 22 when the season starts. He's got a build like James Conner. I'm very much of the mindset like Kyler Murray needs a big physical back. I think Monty's earned this one that you can say, you know what, we're going to get a bell cow, and then you've got he and Michael Carter Jr. ready to spell James Conner. If this is going to be an offense that goes north and south, I have no issue with this.
So here, let's take some inventory real quick. We've got Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4. We took an interior offensive lineman at 27. At 35, we did a mini trade down. At 41, we took a interior defensive lineman, correct? We took Fisk, and then we took a corner, and then we took an edge. So I guess you could make a case, but you want to go back-to-back offensive players here.
Yeah, because I think we've gone how many straight defenders? 3 or 4 picks straight of defenders. So I think this balances it out. This is the perfect time to take it back because I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be a run on running backs at the beginning of day 3, but you do have pick 105 tomorrow. So you could wait conceivably. But what else are you going to do here? You're going to go developmental tackle. You're going to go another defensive lineman. I think any player that you pick, running back or otherwise, is going to be depth. This is depth territory now.
Or you continue to just try to rebuild the defense. But okay, let's go. You take the running back that you want to take.
I like Trey Benson over Bucky Irving. I think Bucky Irving's a little bit overrated. Plus, we can't take 3 players out of Oregon.
I'm surprised that Benson is ranked below Bucky Irving. Like Irving did not have a good combine. He's not big.
Corum already went.
Yeah.
Let's see if any other running backs have gone so far. I haven't seen any. I think Corum was the first running back to go.
I think I saw Jalen Wright.
Oh, that's right, out of Tennessee. He did go earlier. Gross. I would say, Bo, like in any other situation, I would defer to the defensive line, but there just isn't. If I go to defensive line, there's just not a defensive line that I would take here.
I honestly don't know if there's a lot of room for the defensive line. Like,
okay,
you add Fisk on top of what you've added this offseason. I don't know if you need to add that much more. So yeah, Green's intriguing out of Florida State.
I remember him when they played against LSU, and he was really good that day when they whipped up on LSU. But he's an older player.
It took Jackson. You would be taking like you would be doing on the offensive side of the ball. You would be taking a guy as a depth piece.
A corner who had a good day against LSU's receivers is pretty impressive.
All right, I'm gonna say, okay, let's put down the Game Boy and let's read a book and let's better ourselves for the future. I'll take a corner from Florida State and just say, you know what, you're gonna take my medicine.
I was actually content with Trey Benson.
Well, we can't have him now. We have to take Brendan Rice. That's the mock draft rule.
I think you could take Benson now. You have Marv.
Yeah, Marv heals everything. Back-to-back Florida State players. That'd be pretty wild. Brendan Rice going to the Ravens. All right, let's see. We went pretty chalk on this. I would imagine that PFF's going to like our mock, Bo.
I thought we were making sweet music today. Marvin Harrison Jr., Jackson Powers Johnson, he got below an A. He got a B+.
We took 3 players from Florida State. I didn't even realize that.
What's that? Oh, yeah.
Florida State did go undefeated. They had a good year. They played in the ACC, though. That's a problem.
Braden Fisk in a mini trade down at 41. Kyrie Jackson at 66. Braylon Trice, the edge out of Washington at 71. The extra pick we picked up, 88th overall, Renardo Green. We take the corner out of Florida State. And then the FSU running back, James Conner's successor, Trey Benson, pick 90.
No SEC players. I didn't even realize we were doing it in real time. I'll tell you what, you asked me about perfect draft, like at the beginning. You land those 3 players. That's my perfect draft. I think I said as much. Like Marvin, a top defensive lineman, whether it's Johnny Newton or a top interior offensive lineman, and then you flip the positions. You go D-line or O-line at that next position. Obviously, we didn't do 35, but I think these classes lend itself to that way better because, as you mentioned, you get Marvin there, then everything else can just kind of fall organically to you. You don't get Marvin at 4. I think we're chugging, Pepto-Bismol for the rest of the draft weekend. We're anal about the rest of this draft. Like, I felt very calm and relaxed during this draft.
Yep. It takes a lot of the pressure off to find studs later in the draft, which is not easy to do. Like it's not easy to do without games being played. Like, sure, guys will emerge potentially, right? But
yeah,
the odds that a guy that in the middle of the first round or late in the first round is going to be a top talent It's just it's not as likely. Everybody loves this is the HTL draft right here. This is the hold the line draft. Marvin Harrison Jr. goes 4th overall. And you could breathe, as you said, you breathe a sigh of relief the rest of the draft.
Can you imagine, real talk, you had Marvin Harrison Jr. outside, Jackson Powers Johnson at left guard, and Trey Benson as James Conner's successor? The offense would need to be big time, explosive plays. And you need to pick up where you left off at the end of last year. Like, we all know what this defense is. It's a work in progress, right? And you got to hit on some developmental pieces. The offense, if you're Drew Petzing, you better be good to go. Jackson Powers Johnson's a lot of people's interior darling, and we know what Marv can do. You say hold the line. I just think any mock or any scenario you get Marvin Harrison Jr. is the house money draft. You really, honestly, can't flub it up at that point, in my opinion. Like, you might take guys that I don't love and maybe a Cooper DeJean or somebody like that. But, like, I'm not going to hate it because you have the best player in the draft with your first pick.
Right. Ryan H. Capri Sun showers when we draft MHJ. No doubt about it. They're going to be mad at us at the Wild Horse Pass.
I don't think they
River
sell
Resort
this at the bar.
Casino.
Just sopping wet.
Yeah.
Picking spreads, Donnie. $1.99 super chat. Daily reminder, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to 4th to Arizona. Well, I need you to remind me, Donnie, because I talked to our guy Jordan Schultz, or I see his tweets. But, he's still hammering the point home that Cardinals are going to trade down. And we'll talk about it, I'm sure, more on tomorrow's show. But it's like, what percentage, what odds would you give the Cardinals to still get Marvin if they traded down? Like, if they traded down tomorrow, like what are your odds go from like 70% to like 20%?
Yeah,
it's low.
Yeah, very low. I'd say that's a little too high for me. You said if they trade down?
Yeah, so if they make the trade with the Vikings tomorrow, it's announced.
Dude,
they get
the more I think about it, like, are you think that the Chargers are not gonna? You think that they're just gonna kind of give away the fifth overall pick?
No.
I mean, there's gonna be teams that are interested in Marvin Harrison Jr. Believe it or not, like just because the Cardinals are in the spot to get him, the driver's seat to get him, doesn't mean that they relinquish that immediately, and then there's gonna be a team like, oh shit, there's an opportunity to come up.
We'll just take the best player in the draft. I guess we'll just take him at 6 or 7.
Yeah,
it's a good cue for Monty Ossenford. Maybe just take the best player in the draft. Count that as a win. Yeah. We count it as a win every time we get to do this show. We got 400 plus watching. Leave a like. We're getting this to 500 likes here on a football Thursday. We are back, Bo, tomorrow for Mock Draft Friday. Send in your mock drafts to Bo and I, the Damon Dog. Shoot us your DMs. Plus, on top of it, right now, the next 24 hours is your chance to get in for a free ticket to the actual draft event at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. 1 free ticket. We're giving out I think we're going to do 3 tomorrow. We're going to give out 3 tickets tomorrow, 3 tickets next Friday for free. Gila River Resorts and Casinos at Wild Horse Pass. You want to go? All you got to do, DM one of us. You enter yourself into the raffle. We will announce the winners live on tomorrow's show. You do not want to miss it, Bo.
No, you absolutely don't. As Johnny said, load this thing up with likes. Like it if you're a hold the liner out there. If you enjoyed our mock draft, if you enjoyed the coverage or the insight from our guy Max from Pro Football Focus, like this show, helps share it around and everybody can get eyes on this Cardinals community that we love being a part of. Join us in the exclusive member Discord. It's heating up as draft day draws closer and closer. All the everybody's sharing a little insight that they find on the internet. Our guy Damon Dog's becoming a little bit of an internet celebrity there as he leads the charge and holding the line.
I'd say more of a cult hero.
Okay.
Less than a celebrity. I mean, this is our little cult that we've cultivated here.
You're doing your duty.
Oh yeah, I'm holding the line.
Yeah, I would say
I'm getting as many people as I can to help with it.
Yeah.
You know,
I would say more of a legend than celebrity. I guess I don't know.
I would call Damon that legend, though. I would call him our producer. Thank you, Damon.
But the only way to access the exclusive member Discord is become a diehard today. You get your choice of a t-shirt or a hat. You get 1 free every year. That's a free t-shirt of your choice From the PHNX Locker, you get that diehard membership card, access to all our premium written content, entrance to the Discord Lounge, and discounts on all events. Don't miss out on it any longer. Become a diehard today. I was just talking to one of our new diehards today in my DMs. Is it Hanlocker? Our guy Greg is a brand new diehard. Welcome aboard, Greg. Love that guy, Greg, giving us some ideas. He wants us to team up with some other NFC West podcasters, maybe do a little mock draft between now and draft day. Like the idea of Greg. We'll get into so many more of that between now and then.
2 back-to-back super chats, picking spreads, $1.99. You had Max on the show, PFF. Used to do a pod with him. Yeah, Max made his debut on the program today. Hopefully not the last time we get to chat with him. And then our guy Charlie, there he is, $1.99, streak alive. Good vibes, Charlie.
Right.
I would say, Charlie, if you keep the streak alive till draft night, I think it's all going to work out for our two teams. I'll make that promise right now.
They're both in really prime spots, and that's a casual person saying that. It's like, I think the Cardinals and the Chargers are in a good spot in this NFL draft. Yeah, when you got people reaching for quarterbacks, you got quarterbacks potentially going 1, 2, 3, 4. They're going to be in primo spots to improve their football team in some way.
You're in a good spot. If you're subscribed to this podcast, wherever you get your podcast, go to your mobile device, your smartphone right now. Go to wherever you get your podcast. Type in PHNX Cardinals. Hit that subscribe button. We're doing audio podcasts. We're doing live shows. It's more content with regard to the Arizona Cardinals you're going to find anywhere else. And you know what? It's the best. That's why we're called the premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. But leave us a 5-star. Like this video. Leave a comment down below. Who do you want at pick 27 if the Arizona Cardinals go, Marvin, at pick 4? For Bo Brack, Damon Dog, I'm Johnny Venerable. We are back on a Football Friday, folks. It's been a banner week. What will tomorrow hold? We'll see you mañana. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.